We're now joined by Republican candidate for governor and current North Carolina Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson. Mr. Robinson, thanks for coming on.
Hey, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, you announced this past week that you are suing CNN for defamation. I want to touch on it briefly. CNN stands by its reporting. Can you tell us what your investigation found that refutes the report?
That's going to be a matter best taken up in court, but I can tell you this. I promised people, and I promised, my family from the very beginning, we all banded together and vowed to fight back against CNN and take them to task for these blatant lies and this attack. And that's exactly what we're doing in this lawsuit. We're not going to overstep ourselves and speak about things that need to be spoken about in court. We're going to let our attorneys do this work while we continue to focus on our campaign for governor.
I understand not wanting to get to specifics, but we are less than 3 weeks away from the election and you're behind in the polls. Wouldn't you want voters to know the information if it clears your name?
Well, getting people to get that information out in a way that is effective for me is going to take some time. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I believe that's why this attack happened. It happened to stop me from campaigning. It happened to force me out of this race. We're not going to do that. We're going to do this through our attorney. We're going to let our attorney handle this. And we know the vast majority of people in North Carolina can see right through this for what it is. It's blatant election interference, and we're not going to stop campaigning to handle this. We have an attorney that we've hired to do it, and we're going to handle it through the court system.
All right, moving on to Helene, because it's arguably the most pressing issue facing the state of North Carolina right now. The governor called it the worst storm to ever hit the state. You've been in the high country. You've seen it. How would you assess the response?
The response of the people has been magnificent. And when I say the people, I'm talking about civilians on the ground who have donated their time, their energy, their equipment. I'm talking about the DOT workers, the state troopers, the National Guardsmen. That response has been incredible. The response from our governor was horrendous. 179 National Guardsmen were what was sent into this fray. 179. Georgia sent 1,500. Florida sent 1,700. Our governor sent 179. He was not in the state when the storm was going on and had not contacted the Council of State for the purpose, not of a ceremonial vote, but for organizing a proper response to this storm. His response was horrendous. But luckily, the people of North Carolina stepped in and filled in the gap.
He does refute the details that you just laid out, but he also has accused you of spreading disinformation online. He said you should resign. What's your response?
My response to him is he should resign for the pitiful response that he showed for the people of Western North Carolina. And you make no mistake about it. Everywhere we go and everywhere we speak, we tell people that these rumors that they're hearing about, the FEMA doing nefarious things and state agencies doing nefarious things, we have not seen any evidence of that on the ground. Everything that we've heard can be explained by simple miscommunications or sometimes by folks being told to do things, not to do things that are unsafe. We have not spread any misinformation. If anything, the governor should laud me because while he was during his slow response, we were actually on the ground Saturday, Sunday, and Monday delivering supplies, taking them on and off of trucks and airplanes and delivering them directly to the people who need them.
But the thing is, Lieutenant Governor, it's not just the governor. You've picked fights with Democrats. You've picked fights with fellow Republicans during this aftermath. Let me ask you a pointed question. Is your rhetoric too harsh?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And my response wasn't poor. And, I would challenge you on that, on saying that I picked a fight with anyone. If anything, it's been people who have picked fights with me. We're not going to get into this back and forth. But the bottom line is this. On Saturday morning at 6 o'clock, who was on their way to Western North Carolina with supplies? On Monday morning at 6 o'clock, who was on an airplane flying supplies to the people of Western North Carolina? On Tuesday, who was in Western North Carolina? My response to this storm has been to do everything that I can out in my office to help the people of Western North Carolina. If somebody else wants to turn that into a political game, I say you go for it. Let's see how that plays out for you. Our campaign right now is focused, the campaign that we're focused on right now is helping those folks, helping them be ready for winter and helping them be able to vote.
One of the big cornerstones of your campaign has been education. You've said in the past you don't think North Carolina should accept federal funding. You can clear that up. You suggested getting rid of the State Department of Education. You've also suggested getting rid of social studies in elementary school. Why some of those big changes?
Look, people love to take my words out of context, and everybody knows that a state official, I can't make that decision to not accept federal funds. We are not going to get rid of the Department of Public Instruction. Guys, here's the bottom line. North Carolina has a $33.1 billion a budget right now. Of that budget, we spend 61% on public education. And statistically speaking, our children K through 12 can't read on a grade level. There's something wrong there. And I can tell you exactly what's wrong. We have a bureaucratic heavy system. We're paying millions and millions and millions of dollars to bureaucrats in suits who don't add value to the classroom, while teachers are having to use money out of their own meager salaries to pay for materials that we should be providing. We need to turn that around. We need to make that different. Teachers aren't paid well. They aren't respected. They aren't protected. We've got to change how we treat our teachers, and we've got to start adding value to the classroom again. I guarantee you, you go into any law firm anywhere, the law clerks are not going to make more than the lawyers. The same thing is true in education. We have got to start assessing the dollars that we spend and start spending them more wisely. And every dollar that we spend should add direct value to the classroom. And first and foremost in that is teacher salaries.
Republicans, your fellow Republicans there, the General Assembly, have been big about pushing the vouchers. Do you support a further expansion?
Absolutely. And the reason why I support a further expansion is because taxpayers are demanding it. Waiting lists for charter schools and private schools are through the roof. Folks are looking for a way to control their children's educational destiny, to get their children out of schools that are not serving them well. And parents should have that option. And thank God we have a legislature that agrees with it.
Over the years, you've made some inflammatory comments about abortion. You've suggested you don't support it at all. You've also suggested you support a 6-week ban. Currently, there's a 12-week ban Republicans passed. Clear up the record. Where do you stand on abortion?
I made this clear. I have a personal and spiritual opinion about abortion, but my personal and spiritual opinion about abortion as an elected official has to take a secondary approach when it comes to something called consensus. I put my opinion on the table with 120 House members and 50 senators. What comes off of that is consensus. Yes, I push for a 6-week bill with exceptions for rape and incest. But what came off of that table was 12 weeks with exceptions for rape and incest. And as a person of faith, I'm fine with that. Why? Because I can continue to do with my church and other organizations to save as many lives as possible down on the ground. And quite frankly, I can continue to do that as governor, no matter what the law may say. Sticking
with another social issue, you've compared the gay and trans community to filth. You're asking to be governor for all folks here in North Carolina. What is your message to the gay community?
Let me say this to you again, and I've said this several times. That assertion is blatantly false. When we were talking about filth, and I asked the folks in your profession to come and see me so I could explain this, and I will explain it here again. I was talking about the filthy materials that are being put inside of our classroom, and yes, they are there, and they are still there. Materials so filthy that when we showed them on the porch of our lieutenant governor's mansion at a press conference, your news agencies had to blur out those images. They weren't fit for the consumption of your adult viewers on the 6 o'clock news, but somehow they're suitable for our children in 5th grade classes. Yes, that is what I was referring to, and we made that plain, and we stick by that assertion.
So then what's your message to the gay community?
My message to the gay community is I'm going to be a governor for everyone. I want everyone in this state to be able to succeed. We're working hard to work on the 5 pillars that support our economy and our state: public education, public safety, healthcare, infrastructure, and housing. We want to use those agencies to help build an economy that will span from Murphy to Manteo. And we want to take every single North Carolinian with us. Doesn't matter what community you're with. We want everybody to be able to succeed. We're going to be an all-inclusive, so to speak, government that's working hard for all 10 million people.
You just mentioned infrastructure. You'd be hard-pressed to find a more pressing issue here in Charlotte than infrastructure. It seems like we're bursting at the seams. But getting funding from Raleigh, especially when it comes to transit, has been a big challenge, something we've talked about now for years.
Yes.
Where would you step in? What would you do as governor?
So our main focus as governor is going to be targeted investments that will continue to build our growth. We're seeing tremendous growth in Johnson County. We're seeing tremendous growth in Mecklenburg County. We're seeing tremendous growth in New Hanover County and others. What we need to do is move the bureaucracy out of offices and down onto the ground. We need to identify where the state is growing and where we need to make the next substantive investments to keep that growth going. In other words, we need to be proactive with our investments, and we need to make investments that are going to yield an immediate return on that investment. And I think once we start targeting those things a little better, we'll start to see some great movement in the area of our infrastructure.
The Republican Governors Association pulled their ads for you. Do you feel like you still have the support from the Republican Party?
I have the support of the people on the ground. We're doing 5 to 7 or sometimes 9 events a day, and all of those events are packed with folks. We have a huge amount of support across this state, and we have no doubt that we're going to have the votes necessary to be able to pull out a victory in November.
Crime been a big issue here in Charlotte, especially when it comes to youth crime. As governor, what would your plan be to curb that trend? And can the governor really do much?
Yes, I believe the governor can do. The number one thing the governor can do is show strong support for law enforcement. When you have weak leaders in charge of cities, states, and the nation who do not support law enforcement, who support groups that want to denigrate and defund law enforcement, that sends a clear signal to criminals that it is open season on their fellow citizens. We have to have people in office who are going to back the blue, stand with police, and give them the tools to be proactive in fighting crime, not reactive. And I think that's the biggest thing that the governor can do in this state. Let
me ask you this. You said it. Are you calling the leadership here in Charlotte, whether it's the mayor or city council, are you calling it weak?
No, I said weak leadership. When you have weak leadership, you have that situation. Now, I don't know about the leadership in Charlotte, but I do know about the leadership in the governor's mansion. The governor marched with the protesters without a mask when he was telling everyone to wear a mask. The governor has never called on those folks to stand down on the premise of defunding the police. He stands arm in arm with those folks because that's his base. So I'm calling the governor a weak governor because that's my purview, not the mayor of Charlotte.
Gotcha. Just wanted to clarify. Apologies if it was a misunderstanding on my part. All right. Republican candidate for governor in North Carolina, Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson. Mr. Robinson, thanks for coming on. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
More Flashpoint after this.